Hello, I'm Mark Crosby of Quincy Access Television. Thank you for joining us for In the Know, a program that helps you to stay well informed. Joining me today, as in programs past, is the Sheriff of Norfolk County. That would be Patrick McDermott. Once again, Patrick, welcome back to QATV.
Fantastic to be back here again on our monthly round table. Or square table, or triangular table.
Yeah, not good in geometry, eh?
Yeah, I guess that wasn't my strong suit. So
we should mention that this program, though recorded at Quincy Access Television, does go throughout Norfolk County.
Yeah, and I thank QATV for doing that, because it's a really it's a blessing for me, having representing 28 towns throughout Norfolk County, that this information can get up on the web and throughout the county on the various local cable access channels to a group of people, so that I don't have to be running around as much as I would have done in the past. So this is great.
So today's topic is preparing justice-involved individuals for success upon release.
Yeah, you know what? I was getting to thinking, over the last couple of weeks, I've attended numerous high school graduations. A couple of friends of mine who've graduated from college or from grad school. I attended my own daughter's graduation from Archbishop Williams a couple of weeks ago. Very proud of Alana. And I've been reading the Patriot Ledger and with some of the thoughts of our graduates that are getting out there and going out into the real world, going on to college or starting a profession. And it got me thinking that as a parent, how proud I am. You're getting ready to let your child go into the world, teaching them about independence, teaching about work ethic, focusing on making a plan and executing, taking action. And it's a lot of the things that we're doing with our justice-involved individuals at the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. Those that have made bad choices in their life and through the trial court get convicted and are serving time in the facility. But we don't I'm one that walks around the facility quite a bit, and one of the things I don't like seeing is idle time when our inmates are just either with nothing to do or choose not to do things and just watching TV. And my parents always told me that the TV was going to be not the best thing to move you forward in the right direction. So we've come up with some robust programs to make sure that our justice-involved individuals are going to be prepared as they graduate from their programs at the Norfolk County House of Correction and into the community. So we want to make sure they're prepared for success on their way out of our facility.
Let's talk a little bit about those pre-release programs.
So there's a bunch of pre-release stuff that we did. We have a pre-release center at the Dedham House of Correction. I had a recent opportunity to go. It's next door to our main facility, and we have 12 individuals who are currently housed at the alternative center. So I had a chance to go over, and I brought some pizza with me next door. These are the men that go out to the community, do our work projects and things like that. And I really had to sit down with them to have
cleanups.
They do local cleanups whether we've cleaned up a lot of cemeteries for for Memorial Day, a couple of municipal golf courses, get ready for the season, town halls and things of that. And we have some skilled workforce. We have a couple of carpenters and people that are in the trades. We help the Needham Housing Authority. So these guys have worked a lot and they've been working hard for us. So I told them we were up in Medway, and I said, hey, look, keep up the good work, and I'll host a pizza party in the next couple of weeks. So I took the opportunity to kind of ask them about their experiences and what they thought was most helpful at the facility and what's preparing them to go out. And we went around, we had a nice conversation, a roundtable discussion, how old they were, were they married, did they have any kids, what programs that they participated in while they were in our facility, did they have a job, do they have housing, what do they have going on post-incarceration? So it was great to get the feedback from those men, and it's going to help us build upon the programs that they experienced. And even under COVID, which unfortunately a lot of these programs, which was some of the feedback I got, they missed a lot of the programming because of COVID. We had to cancel a lot of the programs that were done. So as they exit our facility, they've given me their recommendations on what worked best for them while they were there and what we can help to boost the programming at the facility pre-release. So those are things we're going to focus on over the next couple of months to make sure all those things are back in place. We've started reopening them now. And the number one thing that the men, most of the men that serve time at the House of Correction, a lot of them are dealing with substance abuse issues, And the one thing that, as we went around the table, that many of the guys who participated said was most helpful for them was our recovery panels. And we reintroduced the recovery panels last month, which is basically a partnership with about 25 nonprofit agencies, individuals and agencies that participate, giving advice and talking around about substance abuse issues, and kind of from a school of hard knocks, how to overcome those addiction issues. And those recovery panels have been fantastically successful in the past. Our first one that we had was great. We had over 28 participants from our facility that joined in that, and the men always look forward to that because they can actually see a pathway towards getting assistance with their addiction issues, and they see that there's help on the outside after they get out. Because the worst thing you can do is release somebody back into the environment that got them into the facility in the first place, or got them into the habit that got them into the facility. So you need the treatment. They're getting the treatment within the facility, whether it's AA meetings. We do have recovery coaches that work one-on-one with inmates, and those are the things that I think provide that foundation for where we can bring them to the next level in terms of workforce development, skills, and education. So,
yeah, educational programs.
Yeah, we do a number of them. We want to, at the very basic, we want to make sure that our inmates have a high school education. So we have a very successful GED program. It's called the HiSET program. And I think we have one of the most successful pass rates in terms of our inmates graduating from that program. And that gives them at least a baseline of an educational success. And then we get a little bit more particular. We talk about some things like financial literacy courses on how to basically manage money. That's sometimes taken for granted, in terms of being able to balance a checkbook or understanding how to open a checking account or a savings account. And a lot of these guys have never had one. So this is stuff that is important for them to learn and then hopefully to implement when they get out of our facility. So,
employment readiness courses.
Yeah, so we've got some great programs that we've had in the past that, once again, we're kind of on suspension. We've brought back some vendors who are third-party vendors who are teaching programs in the agency. You can actually get a certification in numerous different fields. One being OSHA, it's Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration, that to get your certification on how to do that. I think one of the most I like our custodial management program. As we talked earlier, those of us that work in office spaces, or you go to a school setting, anybody that the unsung hero in any facility is the custodian that goes around when nobody else is looking, empties the trash, mops the floor, cleans the carpet. And so we have a custodial management program that teaches men how to, keep a neat shop and go around, so that hopefully they can translate that into the job force after they get out. And at the same time, a little bit more particular, we have actually a carpet cleaning program.
Which I think we have a photo of.
I think there is a photo that we have here. Very successful. The guys love taking that course. And I'll tell you, we have a very clean facility when it comes to that. My office is frequently a useful example of how to clean the carpets. And not a lot of carpets in the facility. It's mostly in the executive suites and in the program area, but they do a lot there. We have a bloodborne pathogen program, as well as a hazmat program that teaches men how to clean up hazmat situations. So these are programs that prepare participants for basically a rapidly changing workforce, and we're hoping that this gives them some flexibility to develop further skills that will eventually land them in a career.
Also, HVAC certification program. I believe that you work with in partnership, or rather you work in partnership with Massasoit Community College.
Yeah, we are. This is going to be a signature program that hopefully will be an example for other programs to develop with other educational partners, whether it's Quincy College, Stonehill College, Bridgewater State. Any community college that has these certification programs, and Massasoit has a particular one in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And we're sitting here in the first day since 5 days of heat wave here in Massachusetts, and so HVAC, I know that if I was a HVAC consultant or repairman, they probably made a lot of money in the last couple of weeks. So HVAC certification is a great program that teaches men how to get HVAC certified, which once again puts them into a pre-apprenticeship position that hopefully will lead once again to gainful employment after incarceration. And these programs too, one of the things that we have going on, all these programs, and I told the guys the other day at the pizza party, we don't want you just to, if you're in the middle of your program, we don't want it to stop. So even if you leave our facility, we want to keep you going on. So if you're in the middle of that HVAC certification and yet you get released, that doesn't mean your program is over. We want to keep you on the right path to finish what you started. And even the same thing goes with your GED HiSET program. We want to make sure that if you start it in our facility, we'll make sure that you'll be able to finish it post-incarceration as well.
And talk about the Perkins Planning grant, and that was used to jumpstart this, correct?
Yeah, we were able to secure a grant for that so that we can afford the program in general. So we apply for grants quite frequently to make sure that the taxpayers fund our the biggest two big things like in any other agency is personnel and healthcare, and that takes a chunk of our $36 million appropriation. So all these other programs that we run are largely funded through grants and through special acts that we have funding for. But when we get a big program like the Perkins Grant, we're very excited about that because that helps enormously. We're going to be able to hire staff that will help administer that program and make sure that there's ongoing communication with Massasoit. There'll be metrics, and that's one of the things I campaigned heavily on when I ran for this position, is that I don't want to just throw programs out in the wind. I want to make sure that we have actual metrics that drives our decision making. So we want to track who goes into the program, what their success through the program is, and also after the program, did it translate into a job? And so that's what those Perkins grants are all about, to make sure we have the right staff members are in place to make sure that the program works.
Small business startup seminars. And as we talk about this, you and I, before we actually started this program, we're talking about folks who come to you, or maybe through some of these interviews that are done in the facility, and have ideas for starting their own business.
We've got a talented work crew, and I always I said, make sure you tell me the truth all the time, because it sounds like you guys have a lot of stuff going on. But they do, they really do. We have actually a couple of folks who have MBAs that are serving time, and this is, once again, goes back to substance abuse issues, some drunk driving issues, but for bad decisions, they're in our facility. And a couple of real estate investors, or one guy who just got his real estate license and then got into a jam. So, and there's carpenters, plumbers, tradesmen, people that have ideas that they want to start businesses. So we thought it would be important to make sure that they get on the right path on that too, because there's a lot goes into starting a business. It's not easy, and it's certainly not easy starting a business from jail. So it's the small things about how to set up an LLC, how to deal with taxes, how to deal with the finances, startup costs for a business. And the Small Business Administration has done a phenomenal job in terms of putting people from idea into action. And so we're hoping to take advantage of that that philosophy and bring that into our facility. And for those men that are interested in starting their own business after incarceration, we want to make sure that they have all the tools ready to go, and that intersects with our legal assistance program. We have lawyers, volunteer lawyers that come in, and once to set up an LLC, you'd rather have a lawyer that's familiar with how to set up a corporation and understands the tax ramifications of all that. And we want to advise our inmates accordingly, so that they have a pathway towards success when they leave our facility.
But that sounds, to hear an inmate say that he or she is looking to start up a business, that's encouraging. I would think that's encouraging for you to hear.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you can take different attitudes when it comes to correction facilities, jails, prisons. You can take a hardline stance of law and order, lock them up, punish. It's certainly not my approach. It certainly wasn't my predecessor's approaches either. You know, Sheriff Jerry McDermott, Sheriff Mike Bellotti, Sheriff Cliff Marshall, very progressive, innovative in thinking. And you know, when I go out and talk to inmates, I'm hoping to inspire them a little bit, to give them a little bit of a stern, hey, you were here for a reason, but there's opportunity for you. You know, and much to, you know, once again, going back to the theme of our high school graduates, you know, and watching our kids grow and they make mistakes. You know, sometimes they get grounded, sometimes they get their car taken away from them, or they get their privileges taken away from them. This is what's happened to these men. So you got to kind of take a parental approach as the sheriff or as a corrections officer, and you know, we've got to instill discipline, but we also have to instill hope in these folks. And so my little meeting with my 12 brothers over there at the Alternative Center, you know, it was giving them a little bit of I like to think a little bit of a fatherly advice. You guys can do this, but here's what you got to take the action to do it. You got to inspire them, give them hope. And to some of these guys who have kids, and I said, you know, you're a dad of 4 kids. You know, you have an obligation. So you've got to think long and hard about what you're doing here, why you're here, and how not to come back here after you get out. You have a second chance, and you have an obligation. That's your why. Figure out what your purpose is, and we'll help you get to where you need to go. But you have to make the decision on what's your purpose, what's your why. And that's my message to the inmates when I meet them. And it seems to resonate a little bit. And I, as we get these programs up and running, I'm hoping more and more participate. Like I said, I don't want them sitting around watching, you know, as much as Judge Judy is a great show, don't want them watching a divorce court or something like that every day.
Right. I mean, you're talking about all of this, and a thought goes through my head. Years and years ago, none of this existed.
Correct. Yeah, I get a lot of credit to Sheriff Bellotti. You know, he served as sheriff for 20 years and put together a lot of the programming that has been in place. And you know, I'm adding my own flair to it. But it's a cultural shift in how corrections works. And, you know, and we're trying to create that message, especially with the legislature, who is our funding source, to make sure that our tax money is being spent wisely. You know, and I campaign heavily on making sure that I'm going to be a chief public safety officer for this county. And part of that is making sure that people in the communities feel safe. And so when they know that I am in charge of the people that committed crimes in their communities, I'm certifying that person, when I'm putting them back out into Quincy, Avon, Brookline, Bellingham, that person is a much better prepared citizen than they were before we got them. And that's what I'm certifying to the people in Norfolk County. So that's my passion every day.
Really, it's this focus on rehabilitation.
Correct.
Let's talk about post-release support.
So this is an area that really hasn't been in much existence over the course of it. It's one of the things that I've seen, at least in my short time as sheriff, that hasn't been working as well. We need to make sure that, and every one of those, my brothers over there who are getting ready to be released, I asked them basically, would you mind, because we can't force them other than a court order, can't force them to keep in touch with us or check in with us. I mean, unless they're on, like, probation is a different thing. They may have conditions of probation. They have to check in with a probation office. We have our Office of Community Corrections, which is located in Quincy. It's not utilized as best as I think it should be. And I want to see this as more of a volunteer program. I want these folks to incentivize themselves to check in with us. And every one of them said they would want to check in with us because we want to make sure that they have the support necessary to do so. One of the things we're doing too is, once again, our partners with our nonprofit community, and right here in Quincy, the Social Workforce Development, which works with people all over the region, and with Mass Hire, we've just received a grant once again, thanks for the grant writing process. Social Workforce Development received a grant to partner with us in terms of helping justice-involved individuals in their post-incarceration workforce development program. So that's the goal, is to make sure that our inmates, once they get released, stay in contact with us, possibly work through programs like the Social Workforce Development Program so that they can secure a job. We're also working right now to develop those post-incarceration partnerships with housing consultants, once again, continued education. Once that all is met, That's the foundation for success. The one thing that's missing that I haven't figured out yet is, when you release somebody, it's great that we have housing in place and maybe job or maybe an education piece. They need an income of some kind, and we need to probably figure out a way to either get rental subsidies in place for them, at least up to maybe 3 months or so, just so that they can get their feet wet. The problem is if they return to where they were before, oftentimes they're going back and living with a friend, and that friend was also the fellow addict that got them in trouble in the first place. Some people go back to live with family. There's a couple of guys that I have to follow up with. They say they're going back to live with their girlfriend. I'm like, you've been incarcerated for 9 months. Is your girlfriend still available to take you back?
Right.
And those are real raw conversations that you have to have with people, but they're real. And so we need to come up with some kind of financial piece that gives at least some bridge to people to succeed, at least a couple of months worth of some seed money to at least get them fed and get them housed.
Start them on solid footing.
Exactly.
Talk about some employer incentives.
So this is something that we're going to promote a lot more of. There's a number of incentives that are available to employers to hire formerly incarcerated individuals, and we're working diligently to get the word out to employers who can take advantage of the various programs that are available. One is a federal bonding program, which works towards providing access of $5,000 to $25,000 in fidelity bond coverage for an employee's first 6 months of employment, which is great. It protects employers and gives them access to job seekers, and that's what we're hoping to provide for them. We want our guys to be job seekers. It's an excellent program that provides both opportunities to the employer as well as to the employee. The other thing is the work opportunity tax credit, which is something that not many employees realize, that they're eligible for a tax credit if they hire one of our guys, which is really important to a business owner that's looking for some kind of tax relief, and they get a benefit of helping somebody that we're certifying is prepared to go back to the workforce. And I've hired a re-entry coordinator who's going out every day, and I'm very proud of him. He goes out every day and meets with employers. He's met with the Home Depots, Lowe's, Walmart, Brookline Ice, and he goes out. We just met with New England Wildlife Center down in Weymouth, and he asked that same question. He said, "Will you hire our guys?" And he's getting a lot of great positive response for that. So we want to educate our employers that are out in the community that are looking for workers seeking employment, that we have men ready to go out who will be trained and ready to go into the workforce.
A referral program?
We have an employment referral program. Yes, we are creating this program from scratch and tasking one of our reentry officers to doing basically what's known as Corey-friendly employers. So a lot of employers aren't necessarily ready and willing to hire somebody that has a record. So we're actively looking for Corey-friendly employers to do some help with us. And part of that is going to be educating the employers on basically the benefits of employing our guys. And we have got enormous community support on this so far. And so once we get this program up and running, like I said, we hired a re-entry manager who's going out and making sure this happens, and so we're excited to see that roll out. It's happening as we speak, and by the time the fall rolls around, this will be something that's just stirring every day.
We'll certainly do an update on this program, likely
Definitely.
by then. We end these programs with the Norfolk County Hero, and I would like to say yet again, this is an
Breaking
exclusive.
news.
Exactly,
Breaking news.
Good job to this gentleman. Let's talk about him. And actually, before we do, just suspense just for a bit, talk about the award in general.
So we developed, when I first became sheriff, we were just kind of at towards the end of the pandemic, obviously, and as I said, there was so much negativity in the news that any kind of good news was always buried on the last page. So we wanted to highlight just local people doing very simple yet phenomenal things in their community. So we asked people for nominations, and nominations keep coming in, which is fantastic. We want to encourage that, and our hearts are filled with some of the stories we hear, and this particular nominee, near and dear to some of the programs and the programs that I sponsor. And this is he's a 25-year-old man, and he has autism, and the COVID pandemic shattered his world. Anybody that's familiar with people with autism, they need to live a fairly structured life, and the pandemic shut down a lot of facilities and organizations that helped people with autism. And Tyler, he was distraught, and luckily his mother had some great ideas on how he might be able to occupy his time, and so. His name is Tyler Fergeron from Walpole, and Tyler decided that he would start collecting cans for charity. And once again, it's a simple idea. I mean, with his bottling can drives all the time.
He's known as Tyler Can.
Tyler Can, and it's a great, just everything that just says so much about it. And
Absolutely.
If you go to his Facebook page. And even his quote in the release talks about he feels like a superhero because he's been able to raise about $15,000.
He is a superhero.
And he is a superhero. He's been given out to charities Above the Clouds, LifeWorks, Breaking Bread, St. Vincent de Paul, the Walpole Community Food Bank, the Jimmy Fund. This young man is quite deserving, and it's a heartwarming story of a young person who just decided to overcome his own distress to help other people. So we're looking forward to presenting him as well as our other two recipients at a ceremony that's going to be held the end of July 1st. Sometime we're confirming the location, but we're going to be down in Foxborough, and it's going to be a big award ceremony along with our graduation of our new recruits.
Excellent. Congratulations from QATV to all of the Norfolk County heroes, today especially for Tyler. As we close, you did mention that folks can nominate through the website.
Yes, if you go to the Norfolk County Sheriff.com website, I think it's /Norfolk County Heroes. I think we have a plug up on the screen for that, and we encourage everybody. If there's somebody out there that you think is doing a little bit extra and helping out their community, that unsung hero, we want to hear about it, and we want to make sure they're recognized.
Very good. In the last couple minutes, just some basic information to get in touch with the Sheriff's Office. Yeah, the best way to go is to certainly go to our website, which is norfolksheriff.com. But follow us on social media, and we're just about, I think we're on almost everything now. I'm not sure if we have a TikTok yet, but I think we do, but it's not published. But we're pretty much at Norfolk Sheriff is our tagline. So you can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, find us on those sites. Generally, we have a universal message on all the platforms, so no matter which one you sign up for, you won't miss anything because we make sure that everything gets posted across the board. But that's the way to do it. Get in touch with us that way, and all of our contact information is on the social media, and we want to hear from the constituents and see what ideas they might have. And that's usually the greatest ideas come from somebody else, and we have the facility and the group of people that I think we can make those ideas come into fruition. Very good. Well, Sheriff, I want to thank you, as always, for joining me here in the studio and welcome you back, I suppose, within a month or so. Absolutely. Can't wait to come back. Great. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you. Thank you at home for watching, and please continue to support your local access station for community-based programming.